and let's go ahead and get started. Focus of classes this week is on this concept of self-study. What our yoga practice really is to help us recognize and see a little bit more clearly what's going on. There's that idea that sometimes we are looking at ourselves through, a lens that's a little dusty or hard to see through. And so our view of ourselves tends to have a story to it that may or may not be accurate. And so as we start to think about this idea of self-study, a part of what we're doing with our yoga practice is kind of dusting off the lens that we're seeing ourselves through so that we can sense and see more clearly and make some more solid choices for ourselves, work with the package that we have going on right now. So as you take a couple of moments to situate yourself, find that comfortable seat, and again, make sure to sit up higher on something if you have some tight hips or a tight low back, and let your hands rest down. And that could be touching the floor beside you or resting on your legs. But take a moment with your eyes closed to tune into your breath. And even let your breath start to move a little bit more thoroughly. And without any kind of judgment words, just notice the details of what's present. Notice the specific body sensations. Notice the general energy level. And now bringing hands to connect at heart center, gently press your palms together and lift up and back with your shoulders. Shoulder blades engage. Take a full big breath as you lengthen from tail to crown. On your next exhale, you're bowing towards your heart. Your fingertips and forehead can connect if that's comfortable. And then as you softly open your eyes and release your hands down, begin to gently lift your gaze. And as you re-engage through the shoulder blades, take right ear over to your right shoulder. And then exhale, drop your chin down in toward your chest. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. And exhale, chin into your chest. And keep going a couple more times to each side. Working with your breath to find that movement. And tuning in to whatever is present, whatever is showing up through the neck, tops of shoulders, or really wherever it happens to be. One more full breath here. Then inhale, lift your gaze and even lift your chin up toward the ceiling. Re-engage your shoulder blades, lengthening through the front part of the neck. Take a full big breath. You're welcome to add little shakes of your head no toward the ceiling if that feels okay. And then back into center. Let's reach fingertips into the floor beside our hips. Press down, lift up and open through your chest. And now walk your hands a little further behind you. Maybe your palms come all the way to the ground. If you're in a chair, maybe you're grabbing the back of the chair. But lift up and open again, opening up through the heart space into a little bit of a back bend. Take a big breath and recognize for yourself whatever is showing up through the front or the back body, whatever it is. Take a deep breath, engage the shoulder blades. Then inhale, rise all the way back up, and then walk your hands forward as far as your body needs to go to work into a forward fold. And with that, remember that you can always set something underneath your elbows, prop them up on books or a pillow or a block. Take a big, full, deep inhale and exhale. And maybe add a little bit of movement through the hips, through your torso. Full big breath. And then gently bring yourself all the way back upright, and we'll switch the cross of our legs, coming to the less comfortable cross for ourselves. Shift your sitting bones. And then reaching arms out to the side, turn your palms so that you're trying to rotate your hands back behind you. They'll go only as far as your shoulders let them, but take a big deep breath here and add a little movement up and down with shoulder blades. Keeping the head lifted to the back plane of the body instead of dipping it down, which is what we sometimes want to do when we start to work with the shoulders. Then keep shoulder blades engaging onto the back and lift the arms up overhead. As you lift up with the gaze, think of lifting your front ribs up. Take a full big deep breath. You might have a little bit of a back bend going on, but take the time to engage through the low belly and the ribs. And then releasing the hands over to the left side, right hand coming to your left knee or thigh, left fingertips beside you or behind you. Press down with your fingertips and lengthen. Both sides grow longer. Use an exhale here to draw ribs in and twist a tiny bit further. And now inhale back up to center, reaching your arms, lift through your heart space, engage through the core, providing some stability for the back body. And then exhale, hands come over to the right side into this twist. Press down with hands, lengthen. Next exhale, ribs draw in to help you twist. Then inhale back into center, and one more time, walk fingertips back behind you, press and lift up and open through the chest, up and open through the heart space. Full big deep breath. And then walk your way all the way back upright and hands come forward. Last time in that forward fold where you might set elbows up on something or hands up on something, or maybe be all the way down on the ground. Take a full big deep breath. And then inhaling, rising back up to a tall spine. We're gonna shift forward onto hands and knees. And as you shift forward, set yourself up, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Move through a slow, thoughtful cat and cow. Inhaling, belly tilts down, open and expand through the heart, shoulder blades engage. Exhaling, round a little upward with your spine, let the back of your neck get long. One more slow, thoughtful breath here. Inhale and exhale. And then back into center, tuck toes and lift hips, downward facing dog pose. If that's in your practice this morning, you're always welcome to stay on hands and knees instead. But pedal out with your legs, so bend one knee at a time, reaching a little longer through the opposite heel, allowing movement to happen through the hips. And then as you come back into center, we're gonna walk our way forward, coming into forward fold at the front of your mat. Take an inhale and lengthen part way. Exhale and fold over your legs as deeply as your body needs. And that might mean elbows or hands coming up to your thighs instead of releasing fingertips down. Tilt sitting bones up. Take one more big breath here. And now hands come up to your thighs, lift your chest, and then walk your hands up your legs to rise all the way up to stand. And then we're gonna come to a wide stance on our mat. So you might turn sideways, you might bring props with you here, but take feet wide. And as you take feet wide, think of outside edges of your feet becoming parallel to each other. So sometimes that means turning the toes in a little ways, but that helps just a little bit to open up the low back. So a little bend to your knees, hands come to your hips, and lift up and open with the heart space. Shoulder blades are on your back. From this place, good bend to your knees. Push back through the hips, heart forward to fold over your legs. And you might come to a prop here with your elbows or your hands. You might come to the floor, wherever that feels the best in your body. And then we're gonna do a little bit of pedaling out here. So bending one knee at a time gently. As you bend one knee at a time, your hips will move a little side to side. But we're starting to find that ability to lift sitting bones. So start to feel the tilt of your pelvis where your sitting bones lift to the sky. And then as you come back to more of a neutral place, keep a little softness to your knees. And we're gonna bring hands to hips. Lift up with elbows and shoulders, leading with the elbows to rise all the way back up, squeezing the glutes on the way. Now, turn your right foot out to the right side and bend into your right knee, into your warrior two stance. And if you need to take it wider here, if you find that your knee is really far past your toes, then widen your stance a little bit, okay? Lift through your heart space, reach your arms, take a big, full, deep breath. Then hands back to your hips. Work your front leg towards straight. Keep a little micro bend, especially if you're a hyperextender. Push down with your hands into your hips and lift up more through your heart. And then reach straight up with your right arm. Left hand gets to stay at your hip. As you reach, lifting your ribs, stretch it back a little ways toward the left side. It's a little reversed version of your triangle pose. Full breath. Root into your feet to rise all the way back up. Hands back to your hips. Now turn your feet to parallel and turn your left foot out. Again, bend into your left knee, opening the knee up toward the pinky toe edge. Lift your ribs and reach your arms. Take a big deep breath. Then hands come back to your hips and you're working front leg towards straight. Again, you keep that little micro bend. Lift the left arm straight up, right hand at your hips. Take a big breath. And then stretch back. And as you stretch back, you're really getting that left side of the rib cage to open. Breathe into those ribs, into the intercostals, those muscles in between each rib. Push through the feet to rise all the way back up. Hands to your hips and turn your feet parallel. We're going to turn our right foot out again. And as you turn your right foot out, bend into your front knee. And this time, elbow to your knee. Right elbow to the knee, left hand to the hip. And as you push with your elbow, you're rising up out of the shoulder and lifting through the ribs. But then bend a little deeper into your front knee. If you'd like, you can stretch left arm straight up or over your ear. Take a full breath. Now push through your feet to rise all the way back upright. Work your front leg towards straight, and this time we'll take our triangle pose. So shift your hips back, creating that hip crease through the right hip, and then extend your heart to the right side. You might use a block, you might use your shin or your thigh or a chair to put your right hand on. Turning your belly and your heart open, shoulder blades engage. Take a big deep breath. And for a moment, try to rotate your right knee a little more toward the big toe edge. Push through your feet and even reach the top arm if you want to pull with your top arm to rise all the way back up. Okay, so now turn your feet parallel and turn your left foot out. Bend into your left knee and set left elbow down, right hand to your hip. As you turn your torso sideways, you're opening the left knee up toward the pinky toe edge. Push, rising up out of the shoulder, lifting with the ribs, and then maybe stretch straight up or over your ear. Big deep breath. Good, now push with your feet and rise all the way back up. Work your front leg towards straight, and then shift your hips back, creating that hip crease. As you do so, Also be aware of the direction of your kneecap and try turning it a little bit more toward the pinky toe edge. Extend your heart to the left and then bring your hand down to a block, a shin, or a thigh. Finding where that feels the best to you. Shoulder blades around your back. If you want, you can stretch up, but take a big breath wherever that is. Push with that bottom hand and rise up out of the shoulder a little ways instead of leaning onto it. Big breath. Now, if you'd like to, you can use that top hand to help, but push into the feet. Reach the top arm to rise all the way back up. All right, feet turn parallel. And we have one more time, a little bend to our knees. Hips push back, heart pushes forward, and take your hands down as low as your body needs to come into this wide-legged fold. From your fold, keep your knees a little soft and root through the pinky toe edge. Send sitting bones up. Take 3 more full deep breaths right here. Then bring your hands to your hips. Press back on hips. Again, we're leading with our elbows. Squeeze the glutes and rise all the way up. Walk feet in and then give it a little shake. We were in that wide-legged stance for a little while. Take a big breath. Okay, so at the foot of your mat, let's find our balance onto our right foot. And if you're near a wall and would like to use it, you can do that or stand next to something to help your balance. But left foot, toes turn sideways, knee turns sideways. Pause and give a little squeeze to your right glute to push. And now bring your foot to the side of your leg, wherever you need it to be, up high, down low, kickstand. The only place we avoid is the knee joint, okay? So find where that is and open the knee up. Left fingertips to the left thigh, right fingertips to the shoulder. As you squeeze your right glute and push, also open knee and shoulder away from each other. But from that place, if you'd like to, you can stretch. Take a big deep breath. Beautiful. Exhaling, hands come to your heart and foot comes back to the ground. And now find balance onto the left foot. Right toes turn sideways, right knee opens up. Pause, squeeze the glute to push into the ground on the left side before you bring your foot up high, down low, or kickstand, okay? Lift through your sides, but then take right hand to your thigh, left fingertips to your shoulder. And as you squeeze and push with your left glute, also open knee and shoulder away from each other. Take a deep breath. Feel free to stretch if you would like. Full deep inhale, long full exhale. Good, and then next exhale, hands come to your heart and your foot comes back to the ground. And pause for a moment here. Maybe you close your eyes, maybe you keep them softly open. But take a moment to notice how the balance felt and think about the details of the balance as opposed to the judgments of the balance. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, fold over your legs, soft through the knees. Inhale, lengthen part way. And exhale, fold. Plant hands and step back. Downward facing dog pose and take a big breath. You can always be on your hands and knees here. Full big deep inhale, long full exhale, tilt sitting bones to the sky. And now push, root from your back muscles, your lats out through your hands. Push through the balls of your feet and tilt your sitting bones further up. And then lower down onto your knees, move hips back towards your heels, taking a child's pose. You can let your head settle onto the ground here if you would like. Big deep breath. In your child's pose, come back to tuning into what is present right now in your body. Remembering that that's without the judgment statements, but just with the details. And now inhale, rise to hands and knees, and you're gonna have your choice. We'll step forward for one more standing balance, whether that's from hands and knees or from downward facing dog. You can always lift your hips to step forward or step forward from your hands and knees. Forward fold, take an inhale and lengthen part way, long spine. Exhale and fold over your legs. Hands to hips, press back on hips. Lift up with shoulders and elbows, and then rise all the way up. Good. So now as you come up to your standing place one more time, this balance that we'll take, you now have a little idea of what your balance is like today. So you get to decide where you take this. So we're gonna take our tree pose into our warrior three pose. So take your balance onto your left foot, turn your right toes sideways, and then choose low, high, or kickstand for whatever variation feels the best in your body right now. Okay, take a big breath, and without any of the judgment talk, just notice how the balance feels. Notice what the wobble is. There's always wobble. If there's no wobble left, then that means the earth has stopped spinning, and that's a bad thing. So we need to have some wobble. Okay, so open it up, press down, lift your heart. And if you want to, you can stretch. You can keep your hands at your heart or at your hips. I think I'll choose my hips today. Lift shoulders up and back. Take a full big breath. And now we're going to turn our knee sideways forward. And with your knee forward, your foot is flexed. Push straight back as you start to hinge from the hip to take that warrior three. And if you come to more of a parallel place with your warrior three and you find that you're wobbly even more, you might come a little bit more lifted so your toe is on the ground, chest is high. Or you can find that spot, maybe even shift the position of your torso or of your arms instead. Take a big deep breath, lift with the ribs, lift with the chest, reach through the heel. Inhale, rise all the way back up, and exhale, set your foot down. Nice job. Last side, we have our balance onto our right foot. Left toes turn, knee opens up, and then take the variation that serves you today. Because tomorrow is different than today. Yesterday is different than today. You get to be where you are today. Take a big breath, lift your ribs, lift your chest. You decide where to go with the arms. Lift shoulders up and back. Good. Now turn the knee forward. Press the heel straight back and then hinge at the hips. Warrior three. Lift with the chest and engage the ribs. Take a big breath. Then inhale, rise all the way back up, and exhale, foot back down. Feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes and root. Reach through the fingertips, your shoulders are opening and lifted. Full breath. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. Plant hands, step back. Downward facing dog or hands and knees, your choice. And then lower knees down, hips to heels, take a child's pose. And now we're pushing ourselves all the way up to our seat and then all the way down onto our backs. And be sure if you have a pillow, blanket, whatever props you happen to have, make sure that they're handy. And then as you come to rest down on your back, for a moment, hug knees in close. Rock a little side to side. And then we'll take knees open wide, aim feet toward the ceiling, and then you're holding around the back sides of your thighs, outside the shins, or outsides of feet, wherever you need to be to tilt sitting bones down. So you're trying to create a little lift through the low back. Flex your feet and create a pull down and a push back. Sometimes that helps you to be able to tilt the sitting bones. And then rock a little side to side. And as you rock side to side, if you want to do the hamstring extension, you're welcome to. So rocking to the left, extend the left leg. Rocking to the right, extend the right leg. Now back into center and set the feet down. And then walk your feet out wider than your mat and drop both knees to the right and both knees to the left. One more time on each side, both knees to the right and both knees to the left. And now back into center, grab your pillow or bolster if you have one and set it underneath your legs. And if you don't, that's okay too. If you'd like to, soles of feet can come together, knees open wide over the pillow or bolster, or your legs can be out straight. Arms come to rest, and from this place, if you have a blanket, you can set it over you. Start to let yourself settle in to your most comfortable resting pose. Taking that time to recognize and notice anything that has shown up in your practice. For tension, stiffness, or maybe you've released some of that. And take a few moments to rest. Begin to take a deeper breath. And as you add gentle movement into your fingers and toes, start to notice the details, body sensations. Then bending your knees, roll over to your side and pause with your belly and heart turning toward the ground, and take a full breath. Let your hips stay heavy and use your hands for support to press your torso back upright. From your comfortable seat, if you would like, you can take right hand over the left and thumbs connecting with your hands resting in your lap. This mudra for self-awareness or self-study. Take a couple deep breaths. And then connect hands together at heart center, honoring yourself for taking this time today to tune in and become more aware. Next exhale, bowing towards your heart. Have a very peaceful, beautiful day. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.